Thanks for coming, everyone. Welcome to HomeStyles. It's a privilege to have this opportunity, and I just want to thank the HomeStyles team for having me back this year. This is something I really look forward to every year, and I'm happy to be back. How many of you have heard of Supplier cabinets before? Worked with us maybe? Lots of you. Awesome. I just want to give you a brief rundown on who we are and where we came from. Supplier Cabinets started in 1980 by Charles Larry, and he began the company in the back of his garage, building cabinets in his garage, and today we've become 300 employees large, and we manufacture 25 kitchens on a daily basis right here in Saskatoon. We have 4 stores in 4 cities, so Saskatoon, Regina, Edmonton, and Calgary, and we have a large dealer network across the prairies as well. As for myself, I am Saskatchewan born and raised. I am originally from the booming metropolis of Melfort, Saskatchewan. It's a city of northern lights. We have some of the best action in our skies in the Melfort area. I play baseball in the summer. I ride snowmobiles in the winter, and I am a design geek at the core. And I'm very proud to say that this June, I'll be celebrating 15 years as an employee of Supplier Cabinets. Supplier is a fantastic place to work, and I'm very fortunate to have had a lot of great mentors and role models that have paved my path, and I'll always be very grateful for that. What does an average kitchen cost? This is our most popular question that we get every year at this show, and a question that we face daily at our showroom. There is no magic formula that I can give you today that is going to answer this question for you. Everybody's understanding of what average means is different, so it makes this question very complicated, and there's a lot of variables involved in this. My presentation today is broken down into 3 parts. Part 1, 5 factors that impact price. I'm going to take those factors and I'm going to apply them to a sample kitchen, which is my version of what I think average might mean. And I've been told by a few of my peers that my version of average is a little bit large, so we'll let you be the judge. And part 3, finding the right supplier. I'm going to give you some tips and a few questions that you might take on your shopping adventures, and hopefully they'll help you find the perfect fit for your project. A few things you need to know about this presentation. This is strictly about cabinets. I'm not going to get into countertops because that's a whole other presentation with a whole other set of variables. And I don't sell flooring or appliances, so I don't want to pretend to be the expert there. This is strictly about cabinets. All of the numbers that you see on the screen today are actual Supplier Cabinets prices, and the majority of them include delivery and installation within Saskatoon and the area. All right, let's jump in. Part 1, 5 factors that impact price. I want to introduce you to my average kitchen early because I need to leverage it in this part as well. This is it here. The way I went about finding what an average kitchen meant to me was I pulled out a series of kitchens that I thought were average size spaces, and I tried to calculate a square footage that I could use, and I came to most scenarios are about 130 to 140 square feet. I erred on the larger side for the sake of this presentation, 14-foot by 10-foot room. And I wanted to use a popular layout that I see most frequently today, and that is an L-shaped kitchen with an island. So we're going to play with this space and do different things with it as we go. That's the front side of my island. It's 5 feet wide and about 3 feet in depth, including an overhang. The first factor I want to talk about is a pretty obvious one, I think. This is your wood species. Every cabinet company has a large range of materials that they will use to build your cabinets with. Supplier probably has about a dozen. I'm going to show you kind of a low, medium, high scenario to give you a sense of how changing materials can affect the price of this kitchen. The first product I'll tell you about is MDF. This is the first medium density fiberboard, and there's lots of different finishes that you can put on this. I use a very economical finish for this door. It's a textured white paint. MDF is basically recycled wood fibers. that have been bonded together with glues and resins and pressed. Very economical option. This kitchen, with an MDF door, comes to about $6,000, delivered and installed in Saskatoon. It's a nice entry-level point there. Next wood species is a maple door. This one's been finished with a gray stain. Gray is all the rage right now, everybody's doing it. And this kitchen done in a maple shaker door is about $8,100, delivered and installed in Saskatoon. And the last option here, this is black walnut. If you're a wood lover, walnut is a beautiful option. Lots of grain variation, lots of color tone variation. And it's also our most expensive wood species that we sell. This kitchen is about $10,000 in a walnut product. So we've essentially doubled our price almost from where we started. Now, if every kitchen had a similar configuration, lineal foot pricing or square foot pricing may work, but of course every kitchen is unique to the customer's needs and customized. Which brings me to my next factor, the cabinet configuration. So at Supplier, we have a product catalog that is filled with hundreds of different types of cabinets, and every cabinet has its own unique price. And that price can change depending on wood species, the finish, the drawer box type, and various other items as well. So one cabinet could have dozens of different prices. I want to take 2 lineal feet of space and show you some different things that I can do with 2 feet. So I have a standard upper cabinet, 2 feet wide, 30 inches high. I have a base cabinet with a drawer on the top and 2 doors below. And this combination comes to about $800, and this is the only slide in the presentation that will not include delivery and installation. And this is assuming a maple shaker door. We'll use a maple shaker door for most of this presentation. We'll get into door patterns a little later. Another way I can fill 2 feet of space, we'll put an upper cabinet that has an opening in it, maybe to house a microwave, or maybe some decorative items, some cookbooks. Anytime you put an opening in a cabinet, you have to stain the interior of the box because you can see into it. And when you're doing that, you are adding cost. The base cabinet now has 3 drawers. So you're adding material, you're adding drawer slides. So your new price for this combination comes to about $1,000. And one more, a pantry is another way that you can use 2 feet of space. Obviously more material here, and this cabinet comes to about $1,200. The thing you gain back when you're putting a pantry in space, though, is you don't have to pay for countertop anymore, and that can actually be substantial if you're using a stone product. So I want to expand on this a little bit and use a 10-foot wall, try some different scenarios, and give you a sense of how dramatic your price can change just because of how the cabinets are configured here. So I have 4 upper cabinets, 4 base cabinets, pretty standard boxes in a maple shaker door. My first configuration comes in at $3,674. My second concept here includes a microwave opening, and I put drawers end to end, top to bottom on the bases. In maple shaker door, we're in at $4,372. And we'll do one more. Configuration number 3. Pantry on each end, microwave opening, drawers end to end, and we're in at $5,117. And here they are side by side. So we went up about $1,500 from where we started to where we ended. And part of this talk today is to help give you a sense of what apples to apples really means in our industry. This is a term that gets thrown around a lot, and it's very hard to accomplish. If you are sending quotes or collecting quotes from 3 different companies, you are working with 3 different designers who all have different ideas on how they might go about solving your space. And your designer can actually influence your price just because of how they think. Number 3 is your cabinet count. This is a really interesting one to me. This is the number of boxes that I use to solve your kitchen with. So I'm using a total wall length of 12 feet. I have 4 upper cabinets, and I have 4 base cabinets for a total of 8 cabinets. Your total on this wall comes to just under $4,200. On that same 12-foot run, I could narrow these boxes to add more on the wall. So I narrowed them up. I've got 6 uppers and 6 bases, and our new total is in at $4,665. So about $500 difference. It's not huge. However, if you were building a new home and you have a kitchen, you have multiple bathrooms, maybe a laundry room, a walk-in closet, basement bar, that cabinet count can play a huge role when you're comparing one quote to another. The reason there is a price difference, it results in slightly more material. I have a couple more sets of drawer glides here, but there's a third variable, and this is your install cost. Oftentimes, installers are paid based on the number of cabinets that they hang on your wall. So 12 cabinets will cost more for install than it will for 8. It's more time, it's more work. Number 4, I think, is another obvious one. It's your cabinet height. The higher you go, the more material you add, and the higher your cost goes. So going back to our average kitchen from an earlier slide, we know that this one was $8,100. So this is assuming a 7-foot high cabinet height. We've got a foot to go to the ceiling. And in a lot of the rentals today, people want to carry the cabinets all the way up to the top, go right to the ceiling, get rid of that ledge to dust, for those of you that do that. You gain a little bit more storage, and you actually can make the room look a little bit bigger by taking the cabinets all the way up. So mine looks something like that. And your new price comes in at about $9,851. So we're up about $1,700. We added crown, and we increased the size of your cabinets. If you're building a new home in Evergreen or Rosewood, most of these homes are being built with a 9-foot ceiling, and people still want to keep going higher with their cabinets. To do that, it's going to look something like this. So we've actually taken additional cabinets and we've stacked them on top of other cabinets. You can see there's some shorter doors around the perimeter, about 15 inches high. When you stack a cabinet on top of another one, you're left with a horizontal line where they meet. So you have to add a panel to the side of that to cover the seam. So you're adding material, you're adding cost. And the other thing you're doing by stacking cabinets is you're increasing your cabinet count. So now your installer is getting paid a little more for that install. So here they are. Oops, there's your new price, $11,250 to go to 9 feet. Here they are side by side, so we basically increased the price by $3,000, going from 7 feet to 9 feet. The last factor, number 5, decorative components and accessories. This one is probably the most impactful factor that I'm going to tell you about today. This can really run up your costs quick. Here's a list of some of the things that I'm referring to. Your door patterns. So up to this point, I've been using the shaker door, which is a very generic door for the cabinet industry. It's usually the starting point for price levels. But the more detail you add into that pattern and the more solid wood that goes into that door, the higher price you're going to pay for it. Drawer box type and glide type. Most cabinet companies have more than one drawer box type. Supplier Cabinets has 4, and they all have their own unique price level. Glass, clear glass, frosted glass, decorative glass, it's always going to add cost, and whenever you got glass in the door, you're staining the interior of the cabinet as well because you can see into it. So again, it's adding more cost. Decorative panels, these are essentially doors that get attached to the sides of cabinets to make it look like the front. Columns, usually these are 3 inches thick and they're most commonly seen at the ends of an island for a decorative effect, and it also provides a little bit more structure if you have a stone countertop. And then cabinet accessories, generally anything that is attached to a cabinet door and pulls out is likely more expensive than you realize. There are some cheap versions, and they're cheap for a reason. The expensive ones are probably the one that you want if you're going to be in this house for a long period of time. But they do run up your costs. We're going to try another scenario here. There's a 10-foot wall again, and I'm just going to use a very simple design here. 4 standard uppers, 4 standard bases, and this is from an earlier slide. We were at $3,674. Now I'm going to dress it up and fill it with toys. So the same 10-foot wall. I've changed my door pattern to the most expensive one I sell. I've changed my drawer box type to the most expensive one I sell. I've added 4 pieces of designer glass into 2 cabinets to stain the interior of those boxes. I put 4 glass shelves inside. I've added crown mold. And then the bottom 3, last 3 items there are in the base cabinets, and they're all behind doors, so you can't see them. So I've got 2 rollouts on the left side. I have a 2-bin recycle center attached to a door, and I have a bacon tray pullout attached to a door. Your new total, $7,689. So we've got a big difference now. We have more than doubled our price. Saw a few jaws dropping. So here's the thing about the drawings. They don't tell the whole story. If you are relying on drawings and quotes to be emailed back to you, it's actually a really ineffective way to compare quotes. It's very hard to see the detailing in the door. You can't see the wood. You can't see the glass. You can't see the staining on the inside. You can't see any of the gizmos in the base cabinets. It's very hard to compare, and really the only way that you can compare is to go to the showroom and let the designer tell you exactly what they've done and why they've done it. So here's a summary of my 5 factors. I have my wood species, my cabinet configuration, cabinet count, box height, decorative components, and accessories. Part 2, the sample kitchen. You've already seen my average kitchen, and I'm going to try and answer the question, how much does an average kitchen cost, by applying these 5 factors. I'm going to use a low, medium, high scenario to try and give you a sense of what you could spend here. For those of you that might have joined us late, I just want to review what my average kitchen is. I'm using 140 square feet. It's a 14-foot by 10-foot room. I'm using a ceiling height of 8 feet, and I'm going to leave that be consistent in all 3 scenarios. My entry-level solution, we've kind of already seen. This is from early on part 1. So my entry-level solution is a painted MDF product. My cabinet height is 7 feet. It has good functionality, but it can be improved quite a bit. I use minimal cabinets to solve this space, and I didn't put any decorative components or accessories into this kitchen. There's the front side of my island, pretty simple design again, and my price was $6,000 roughly. That's what I'm going to call my entry-level solution. We'll kick it up a notch and go to a mid-level solution. So I'm going to change my wood species to maple. And I'm going to take my cabinets all the way to the ceiling. I've improved the functionality by adding drawers. And I've got a lazy Susan in the corner. People have a love-hate relationship with those, so maybe we're not really making an improvement there. I've added, what else do I have? Some decorative features. So I've got a glass insert in the corner cabinet. I changed my door pattern to a mid-level door pattern that we call the Lancaster door. And we've got a valance above the window, so it just kind of ties in all your upper cabinets together. And there's the front side of my island. So drawers now end to end, top to bottom. And my new price comes in at $11,117. Now maybe, for some of you, maybe that's the answer you're looking for. If it's a mid-level solution and if my average kitchen resembles what you had in mind, maybe that's the answer. But I can do so much more with this kitchen. I'm going to go to my high-end kitchen. So I've intentionally done everything I could think of to run my price up. So I've changed my wood species to black walnut, my most expensive wood. I've taken my cabinets again to 8 feet. It has the best functionality out of the 3 that I'm showing you. So I've added even more drawers. I've got 3 drawers on the bottom of the pantry. And I've added a bunch of toys on the front side of the island. I'll show you those in a moment. It's highly decorative. So on the top perimeter of the upper cabinets, you can see there's kind of a window in the top doors. It's a glass insert, so I've stained the interiors of all those cabinets. I've changed my door pattern to the most expensive one I sell. Also the drawer boxes, the most expensive ones I sell. On the sides of the cabinets, you can see there's some detailing, so they all look like the fronts, just look like the doors in the front. I put decorative island columns, each side of the island are 3 inches thick. There's a decorative panel on the back side of the island. Here's the front side of the island, so you can see that 3-inch column on the right a little more clearly. There's a 2-bin recycle center attached to a door, and I've got a spice tower sandwiched between drawers as well. And your new price in this kitchen comes to almost $22,000. It was a pretty dramatic difference from where we started. So therein lies the complexity of the question, how much does an average kitchen cost? For some of you, you may have asked several suppliers in Woodland Hole already, how much does an average kitchen cost? You might have got a very blank look from your consultant, and it's because we don't really know how to answer that question, because it can really be whatever you want to put into it. And I don't want to tell you $11,000 because maybe you're looking for the $6,000 solution, and maybe flipping the house in a couple of years. And it's just a very different approach to the advice I might give you and ideas I might recommend for you. So it's a broad range, it's same space in 3 different scenarios. If you are more of a modern-minded person and this is too traditional for you, I could do the exact same thing with the same types of products. That would be a low, medium, high scenario, really for any genre that you're interested in. Part 3, finding the right supplier. Every cabinet supplier has its own set of unique advantages and disadvantages. Superior cabinets might not be the right fit for you, and that's okay. We don't expect to be able to accommodate every potential project. There are some companies that focus on different things, and they're better at it than we are, and we might be better at certain things than other companies are. So what I'm going to show you here is just a few things to take along with you as you do your shopping, and help you make a checklist. The first thing that I want to talk about is the lead times. Most cabinet companies do not stock cabinets. They don't have the storage capacity to store every potential flavor and size of box that could potentially come out of our facility. I've heard lead times in Saskatoon can range anywhere from 3 weeks all the way up to 10, depending on who you're working with, where the product is made. And then the other variable in this is the design process. And this is the time that it takes for you and your designer to get from beginning to end and get the solution that you want. Most of my clients on average take about 50 days, 50, from my first meeting to the day they sign the contract. And what's happening in that time frame is there's an initial quote process, there's a lot of back and forth tweaking the design. We also need your flooring and your appliances confirmed before I can place an order, so you make sure that they all fit. There's no such thing as a standard appliance package, so don't be confused. We always need those specs. Number two, what are you looking for in a kitchen designer? I recommend you find somebody you like, because you're probably going to be spending about 3 to 4 months interacting with that person. So you should have some fun with it. Look for a solutions-focused designer. I hope you've heard me use the word solutions frequently in this talk. I'm a consultant, and my role is really to provide solutions, and we are problem solvers. Your kitchen is not about us and all the nice things that we can do to it. We are really trying to find solutions to issues that you have with how your family uses the kitchen, and provide a better situation for you. Seek somebody that is passionate about what they do, because really it's just going to add that much more value to your space. Number three, the interview. This is really the customer experience we're talking about. So what kind of customer experience are you looking for? Do you need photorealistic color renderings? Do they do hand sketches? Are they digital? How do they do this? And what's the firm's commitment to job completion? What happens if something doesn't go according to plan? I have to tell you, renovating a kitchen is a very hard thing to do, even for the people that do it every day. If you're going to get into this, expect some hiccups along the way. You're working with people. People design kitchens, build kitchens, deliver kitchens, and install kitchens. And people aren't perfect. They will mess up. And if you go out looking for a perfect cabinet supplier, you're not going to find it. And I think the true, what you really want to be looking for is somebody that you trust will help you navigate through the hiccups as they come up, and finish the job as timely and effectively as possible. And the last one here, price versus value. Price is one thing, but quality does cost money. Don't let the price fool you. That can work both ways. And this kind of comes back to that whole apples to apples thing. If I have to email numbers away rather than meeting with you in person, we're kind of taking a chance. Because again, the drawings don't tell the whole story. And just because you see the lowest number come back to you, that company may not necessarily be the most affordable. They just created the most affordable solution. So my summary of my 4 factors: my lead times, people, the interview, which is a customer experience, and price versus value. Look beyond the product. So I need to wrap up, and we're going to go into a question period following this, but I just want to give you a few takeaways that I hope you're able to get out of this. Number one, there are many variables to consider when comparing apples to apples. Number two, work with your designer to establish a budget that keeps you working towards a common goal. You want to buy a kitchen, I want to sell you one. If we can start with a budget, we can get to the solution much faster and much more accurately. I think the best way to go about getting as close to apples as you can, pick 3 showrooms, go meet the designer, ask them to provide as much value as possible for your budget number, and give each of those 3 companies the same budget. And I think by doing that, you'll be able to separate each one and decipher who's really giving you the most bang for your buck. But you've got to go to show them. And lastly, price is only a discussion in the absence of value. Look outside the product. Every cabinet company has their own unique advantages and disadvantages. I just want to thank you for spending time with me, and enjoy the rest of the show. Good luck with the project.